You know, I'm right. Nick Durst here with Joe Calabrese. And Joe, the talent of our guest today is just off the charts. Great singer, exceptionally talented with the guitar. As you can see, if you're watching this in the video version, she's on the guitar getting ready for a show. But why don't you let everybody know who we got with us today?
Yes, she's a very multi-dimensional talent. As you mentioned, she is a singer-songwriter. She's also a painter too, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
She has been nominated for a Grammy Award, and she is one of those rare people who has gone against the American music machine and not only looked to tell the tale, but probably ended up coming out winning in the end. So that's going to be very interesting to discuss. We're really, really happy to have her on. Thanks for coming on with us. Ms. Sophie B. Hawkins. Sophie, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Both? I'm so well. It's Tuesday. First of all, it's not Monday, so everything is always better than Monday, and I'm in a great place in the world, on the earth, on the planet, in my soul. So I'm doing well. How are you both?
We are good. Can't complain. Kind of bummed the summer's over a little bit, but now the fall's here. The weather's really, really nice. So just getting ready to enjoy. Nick and I are huge sports guys. I'm a baseball fan, getting ready to watch the Yankees play tonight in the playoff game. I know Nick's going to be really excited about that. But Nick has it pretty good. He's got a really, really nice married life over there. His wife is beautiful. She's lovely. She's gorgeous. They're a great combination together, but we're great.
And how about you? Nick has got a gorgeous wife. What's going on with you?
Me, nothing much right now, but hopefully that'll change in time.
Yeah, me too. I'm single as well. But there's a beauty to being single. There's an incredible. You know what? I feel like, well, a lot of people love things. I love space. I love space in relationships. I love to give people space. I know that my children are growing, and one's 6 and one's almost 13. And I feel, and I've recognized this as time has gone on, that, like there's that great quote, music is the space between the notes. And then I had this thought that I'm the space between my thoughts. I put that on Instagram. And then I wrote, this is not BS, this is true. I think that we all exist in this space so much more even than in our conscious definitions of ourselves. So being single is not bad. It's not bad to have that birth.
So quick question before we get started, only because you briefly mentioned your children. Do they each play music? Did you, instill the same love and admiration for music that you have into them?
Well, I think that, that's a great question. Oh, so you mean we haven't started yet?
We have.
Okay, good. So yeah, I think, well, my son who's 13, is so talented with music, but he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to make it a priority in his life. And I really have to respect that. And it could be that I've modeled someone who's so passionate about music, it might be a turnoff, or it might be just that he sees me doing it. So why should he do it? Maybe he's going to do something else. And then my daughter, it really wants to be, she loves it. She is excited about it. And so they're equally as talented in totally different ways. Like my son has all the attributes that I always wish that I had. He's a natural musician. He can read easily. He has great ears. He's so, quote unquote, the word talented, and which I had to work at all those things so hard. But he's not interested in pursuing it, at least not now. And then, but he loves obviously music. And then my daughter really is interested, like she's very in it. But she's only 6, so we'll see what happens. And I don't think that I try to instill anything. I am actually really in love with music. And I still I told you I rehearse for all my tours. I'm writing all the time. I'm writing a musical. I have albums worth of materials that haven't come out yet. Maybe they see me doing it and they just think it's so natural, a part of me.
See, that's great. Kind of like monkey see, monkey do. So now we're going to get to you. I wanted to ask, At what age did you know you had a talent or innate ability to play music? And when did you realize that you were not only talented, but this is something that you could really pursue and turn into some type of career?
That's such an interesting question. First of all, I still don't believe that I'm talented, but in my core, I know I have songs to get out there, and I know I have, I know I have so much that I want to say, so I do it regardless of whether I'm talented. And I never have felt that I'm really talented enough, but that doesn't stop me. So I hope that's inspiring for people. Then what happened was, when I was little, I wanted to be a drummer. And then it took me till I was 14 years old to get to have a drum lesson. And I really forced the issue. In fact, I had to sort of go outside my family to study drums. And I studied African drums. That's what I wanted to do. And I'm writing a book about it now. And it's not that memoirs are so popular. I've always wanted to tell this story. And when I started to write a musical, parts of that story were coming in. And I said, it's time to really get this book out, because it will really, it's really a great story, not of someone who believes in themselves and has to do something against all odds. It's really someone who believes in everyone and has to get it out to prove that we all have a story, and that we all, no matter what, can find a way to get our story out. It's that great phrase: if you bring forth what is within you, it will save you. If you don't bring it forth, it will destroy you. And I lived that way. So yes, I wanted to be a musician from 14 years old on. And yes, I quit basketball. I love sports too. Yes, I quit basketball and everything to do drum. And I went to Manhattan School of Music as a drummer, as a percussionist. But while I was in Manhattan School of Music, I started to play the piano for dictation. You have to do it. And then I sat at the piano and I realized I'm not going to be a drummer. I have to get all these thoughts out, these feelings out. And I decided to be a songwriter, really not because I thought I was talented, but because I had to do it. So that's the story of me. It was more like, I'm going to do this no matter what. And I don't even care if you think I'm good at it. In fact, when I used to sing my songs from the drum set, which I did in my first bands, like the first band called the Pink Band, and I'd be up there in Harlem and I'd play drums for everybody, and then I would sing a few songs from behind the set. They used to apologize for my singing. And I didn't, throw down my sticks and say, how dare you? I thought, yeah, I probably don't have a good voice, but I'm still going to sing. That was my attitude. And it's sort of still my attitude. I might not be a great writer, but I'm still going to write. No, everyone says, oh yeah, you should write with partners in your musical. No, I would rather do the whole thing myself and then bring people in, because I believe that people doing things purely is really important for the world, for humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, who would you say gave you your big break? And also, what was your reaction to the first time you heard yourself on the radio?
Oh my God, I love these questions because they're simple, but they're very powerful for me. So the first true big break was this guy named Ralph Shuckett, who passed away, I think, in April this year. What happened was Mark Cohen, who sings Walking to Memphis, among other beautiful hits. He was a jingle singer and not a pop artist. He came into the restaurant where I was a coat check, and I checked his coat, and he said, you have a beautiful speaking voice. I bet you're a singer. And I said, I'm a lousy singer, but I have all these songs. And I gave Mark Cohen my demo tape, which had as many songs as you can fit on a cassette. And it had my name, Sophie, with my phone number. So then he went to the jingle studio the next day and he left it on the desk. And this guy named Ralph Shuckett, who was a keyboard player and arranger, really actually a brilliant musician, but unknown at that time so much, he picked it up and he listened to it on the way back to Brooklyn, and he heard all my songs. Damn, I Wish I Was Your Lover, Mysteries We Understand, all the first album of Tongues and Tails. He heard those songs in my first demos of them. And he called me up and he said, you should be making records. Now, I agreed with him. I thought he was correct. And so I was ready. I did, when I went to his house in Brooklyn, I had a kitchen knife in my pocket because I thought he could be a rapist, but he turned out to be the nicest man. And he then helped me spruce up my demos. And, I had 7 record labels after me, but that was after years and years of not even one publisher wanting to sign me, and years of being a songwriter and performing and all that jazz.
What was the process like getting that to different, radio conglomerates to ultimately get on the air?
Radio was so fun. Okay, so being a New Yorker, I didn't understand radio as much. And I say that only because it seemed like we had so much in New York, always, it wasn't like radio was much. But I realized how important it was throughout the world when my first record came out, and I got it. And I was really appreciative of it. Radio really introduced me to the world. There was no other way to do it. And radio was, and maybe still is, really real. Because Sony Music first of all, you said what was the thing about the album? The album, Donnie Einer at Sony Music focused so much on the hits. And so that was, it's interesting. I understood everything. Nothing seemed weird to me or wrong. I thought, yeah, okay, focus on the few tracks that you think, damn, I wish I was your lover. They really focused on that. But I have to say, to Sony's credit, they said, radio's gonna have a really hard time with this, Sophie. And I was so young, I was so cute. And I said, I don't care, I'm not taking the 3rd verse out. I'm not taking the word damn out. They're just gonna have to deal with it. We're gonna have to, basically my attitude is, if you believe in it and I believe in it, it'll work. And I wasn't wrong. So Damn, I Wish I Was Your Lover was the first track to radio. And Sony worked their butts off. I mean, I'm sure you know and remember. It was such an incredible push, but it was a push not of, in my opinion, it was a push of human power, because everybody in Sony believed, all the radio, Jerry Blair, who just passed away, Jerry Blair, oh my God, Charlie Walk, they worked their bottoms off. Everybody did. I can't name them all. They pushed it to radio, and radio responded, and the Midwest responded, I think, first. And I wish I could name the radio program, the programmers, but I can't right now because I'll get their names wrong and it will be insulting. But I remember their faces. And I remember showing up at every radio station, first in the Midwest and the South, at 6 a.m, doing every morning show. And we didn't stop working. And then we would have dinner with everybody, Chicago, you name it. We would be at McDonald's. We did everything from 6 a.m. till midnight. We promoted all across the country, and people really responded. People would call in. So how was it when I first heard myself on the radio? That's the other part of the question. Well, I was somewhere in the South. I think I was in Atlanta, and I used to call her Effie. I forgot her name, but she'll know who she is. She was driving with me, and she said, "Oh my God, your song's on the radio." And I heard it, and I thought, man, the mix isn't right. The vocal isn't right. All I did was have criticism for the track, which I don't have now. Now I really love it. But at the time I was too close to it.
So after you're doing all these press tours, essentially your songs on the radio, and this is a simple question, but it's not going to be a simple answer for you. How did your life change?
Yeah, I'm going to try to be really in the moment of what was going on. My life had been on hold for so many years to just do my music. And then in the process of getting a record deal, I had to take my life and separate it from me. And I think, and so I was basically this artist, like I was like a balloon. And so how did it change? It got more and more lifted up, and I got less and less grounded. And I think if I would have done something differently, it would have been that I would have created more grounding for myself, but I had no idea how to do that. So what happened was I got less and less grounded, and I got more and more busy in the public way. But you can probably tell from me talking, I'm such a normal private person. Like I sit here, I write my musical, I write my songs, my kids come home. It's really, I was not used to the public eye, but I was very one-on-one. So like when I was in the radio station talking to someone, a programmer or whatever, I was very grounded then, and I was very real with the fans. But then on my own, I was either writing songs or I was not, I don't know how to say it. I didn't have anything to hold me down. And that to ground me, and that was very difficult. So it got really hard, because then it always gets hard, because what happens is you succeed, but you never succeed enough. You might have a gold record, but you're not platinum. So then the record company starts to like move on to other things, or turn away, or this or that, things that they have to do because they're a corporation, and you're left fighting on your own. And so what happened was I became so isolated and so alienated, because I was fighting for my music, and the record company said, you move to Europe. Europe gets you. And I was like, what are you talking about? Okay, I'll go to Europe, But the truth is, like, that's it. I don't know how much to say, how much time we have.
Oh, that was good. I mean, it's a real life scenario. People just don't get it. It was a question I always like to ask people who, rose to fame in the 90s, because things are very different now. And I wanted to ask you, how much different do you think the early stages of your career would have been had social media been around? Or essentially, if you were launching your career now, how much different would it have been? Because you probably wouldn't have been going, around with the cassette tape or going from station to station. Everything would have been very different. And do you think that would have helped you or hurt you?
I think I wouldn't have been interested in a career today. I'm going to be totally honest. I think social media is so difficult because, in a way, the facility of it really distances people from the visceral connection, which all of us human beings, like, as much as I say I like to be single, of course, I like to be single only because I believe that I will find somebody, right? I wouldn't really like to be single for my life. Social media, it's really this, it's a veneer that is, it's fun that people connect, but ultimately talk about alienation. I wouldn't do a career today because it's what I liked was the people part. What I liked was showing up. And as scared as I was to show up, looking in someone's eyes and being at that radio station and talking. I liked making mistakes when they said, is such and such artist on Sony gay? And then I told a funny story, and then I realized my career was over. Most moments, honestly, I wouldn't trade for anything. They wouldn't happen now, because they only happened because I was talking to a real person who I, in that moment, there's so many things I can tell you about being there that really made me the mother that I am and the human that I am. It was being there with the people. Now, like when I put out a post, I'm pretty real, but there's no consequence. There's no big moment where I put my foot in my mouth and I'm over. And that happened a lot with Sony. am surprised I'm still here. So that was one thing that I wouldn't change. And also, I got to be in front of an audience as a young person and really, really struggle. And that has given me a freedom in my life and in front of people that I know that is rare, Yeah.
So maybe your answer to this is what you mentioned earlier. You were fighting for the verses with your first song, Dan, I Wish You Were a Lover. But we always ask here, what was your kind of, I'm right moment? So a scenario, maybe you want to talk about in your life, your career, where somebody's telling you to do something and you're like, no, I don't think so. We're going to do it this way. And then ultimately you'll see while I'm right.
Yes, well, I could say damn, because that was a version of that. But my real moment was, because it's easy. I'm going to tell everybody, it's easy when you're young and you've never proven yourself to the world to be cocky, because it's just, people love it. They love young people being cocky, and people kind of almost want you to be, But how about this? When Sony sent me to Europe and said, America doesn't get you. And I was working at the aquarium with Steve Lipson and Hef Moray's recording the second album. And As I Lay Me Down, I kept saying to everybody, this is the best song I've ever written. And I would say, this is the best song I will ever write. It came from God. It came straight from God. And you will see that I am right about this. And they didn't get it. I don't think Steve Lipson and Hef got it. I don't think Sony got it. Well, I know they didn't, because actually it was written before the second album and they didn't hear it. And I kept saying, you think Down was a hit? Wait till people hear As I Lay Me Down. And there were so many moments, like I used that was all my songs are based on my original home demos. where I record the drums and the loops and the keyboards and all the vocals. I record everything. I arrange the whole thing. And then I have to basically fight for those parts in the studio. Not anymore. Nobody cares what I do. But back then, when the people were putting a ton of money into it. So that one, I had the loop, the drum loop from the 808, that same loop that's on the radio that is so cool and quirky, was my little 808 from my room. And the same Juno 60 pad is the same Juno 60. And even some of the vocals. And I said, you guys don't hear it, but I am right. This is the big song. Well, I don't have to say I'm right. It was bigger than Damn. It's lasted longer than Damn. It's made a lot more money than Damn. And that's all I want to say. And by the way, Sony Europe finally got on board with that song. I shouldn't say finally, I should say thankfully they got on board with that song after many before it. They had to say to Sony America, you guys are missing it. This is a ginormous song. And America actually wasn't going to promote As I Lay Me Down until Sony said, hey, you guys are missing it. This has been a 2-year-long hit. And then Sony, almost 4 years after, said, oh yeah, this is, and they tried it and it took off. It's never gone away.
Sophie, it's very evident that you have passion for music. I wanted to ask, in the after following all the Sony stuff that happened, were there any other major labels that reached out to you that tried to negotiate with you or tried to pick you up after the dispute?
No, and that, it could have been that I really never had a traditional manager. And like I said, I did so many daring things, and a lot of them probably pigeonholed me into maybe too strong a personality or whatever. But although I always did what Sony asked me to do. And even when I was fighting over Lose Your Way, which is what you're talking about, when I was fighting for the banjo, I said to Sony, make any mix you want, try any producer you want, but I'm sure you'll see the song won't sound as good. And when Dawson's Creek chose it to be with the banjo on the song, I think that was another moment. But no major labels came after me. And it could have been just timing too, that there were so many great singer-songwriters coming out. And maybe, I don't know, it never did happen that way. It basically, when I was fighting with Sony, I got a lot of support from people who are around the industry, but not record labels. And by the way, so many labels were dismantling at that time too. So no one's ever offered me another deal. And I did go out on my own, and I was really happy with my level of growth all those years. And now it looks like I'm having another surge underneath me. And I just have to really show up for it and keep doing the work, because I think, but I don't think major labels can do much that now with an artist who's a true singer-songwriter. Can they? Unless they're just starting out. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's the prevailing thought. Nick and I usually ask the manager agent question to all of our guests. So I was actually going to follow at that, but it seems like you never really needed one. And it seems like with the way that your career trajectory kind of went, seems like it was better for you in the long run. But want to shift gears here, want to talk about stuff that's a little more pleasant, a little more fun. I want to talk to you about your influences in music. I want to talk about people, musicians that you listened to when you were younger, that had a great influence in you, your work, people that you still listen to today. So who are those people or influences that you in life that you listened to when you were younger, or that you still listen to even today?
Okay, that's a really interesting question, because there was a time when I was in 4th grade, my sister brought home a Bowie record, Changes One, and I really fell in love with the drama of his music. Like, it wasn't just singer-songwriter, it was also really sort of movie-esque and romantic, and I love that. It was so visual. So then David Bowie became a constant influence, not all the time, but sometimes new records, I'd be a little like, I'm not sure, but then I would get into them and get the best out of them. And he was somebody that I always watched. And as I read my journals from when I was a late teen, I write about, it's beautiful that I have these journals, and I'm really grateful I've kept them, and they're helpful for the book. I write about, my feelings about Bowie's musicians and his choices. And I write a lot about how I would like to make similar or different choices based on what he's done. So I used him as a guide, as a teacher, sort of. And that was amazing to have. And then somebody though who got to my, who I still listen to, like if I hear Billie Holiday's voice, it just hits something inside of me. And my father used to listen to Billie Holiday, from 2 to 4 in the morning, even on weeknights. And I would come into the living room and see the smoke from a cigarette rising in the apartment and hear Billie Holiday. And I just was mad for her and mad for a lot of music of that era. And also I then fell in love also with big band music, because another thing, he had a crush on Julie London. And so Cry Me a River and all those stuff. And then, Anita O'Day, that incredible with Gene Krupa, the big band stuff. And that just led me, as I became a musician, I took those initial emotional connections with my father and his love of jazz and big band and certain troubadour type chanteuses. And I studied them. And then when I was a drummer, I was transcribing Coltrane, literally writing the notes out of Elvin Jones. That is very difficult because he grunts as much as he plays. I would even put the grunts in on the music paper as rhythms. And I was really mad for jazz. So there's that. And then my mother loved classical music, and she still does. So I was Vivaldi was playing, Beethoven was playing, Bach was playing, and she would put on a record on a Saturday morning, and they'd be hungover and everything. But the minute that music went on, she was happy. She was rolling out the gym mat. We were wrestling. It was so full of life and love. So classical music wasn't an old music to me. It was a new, vibrant, exciting, emotional channel that she would switch on, and everything would become great.
Those are all great answers. I love the Bowie answer. It seems like he invigorated a lot of energy in a lot of different people. He's certainly missed. I wanted to also ask something, because I used to watch a show when it was on the air called Community, and there's a certain episode where your name makes a huge appearance. Now, I don't want to give too much of the episode away, but the running joke in the episode is that at the community college, they're having a Sadie Hawkins dance. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, traditionally, it's a dance where the girl usually asks the guy to go to the dance. But in the episode, the actress Jillian Jacobs, who plays this character Britta, she combats the dance by suggesting a Sophie B. Hawkins dance. So did anybody approach you with that idea, or is it something that you kind of just stumbled upon or realized that they were doing after the fact?
So what happened with that was one of those amazing moments where I remember just literally being in my bed in Venice, California, writing, and my manager at the time called me and said, these writers from Community are looking for you. Maybe it was my website person. It just came through somewhere. Like, these writers from Community, they've written you into their show. Do you want to do it? Of course, I said, of course I want to do it. So literally, that was not a strategy. And this goes back to all the other things I was going to say. That was just those writers of Community put my name in there and thought they could reach me, or maybe they didn't, and they did. And it was immediate. I said, of course, I would love to do this. I love the show. And it was really fun and funny. The writing is so funny. The actors were so funny. It was such a fun day, maybe 2 days.
Yeah, I used to love watching Community. For anybody who hasn't watched it, Chevy Chase is brilliant. Donald Glover's in there. Everybody knows him as Childish Gambino. A lot of other great actors, Joel McHale. But I'm very, very happy that you got to have your own episode, because it's not often that sitcoms dedicate or episodes or kind of have themes of episodes directly at one person who's, I guess, not like a huge mainstream star. So that must have been a nice feather in your cap. You have your guitar there. We've been waiting patiently the whole episode. Is there anything that you have ready on the fly for us that you would like to play? Because Nick and I, we would really like to hear something, even if it's just 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. But if you want to play as long as you want, you're more than welcome to. But we've never had live music on this show before, so there's always room for a first.
This actually wasn't, I was literally just rehearsed. I was tuning up and I was doing like a guitar version of As I Lay Me Down because I'm going on the road with just me. So maybe I'll do a little bit just to see. Well, I might flub it, but we'll just try it. Felt like springtime on this February morning in the courtyard. Birds were singing your praise. I'm still recalling things you said to make me feel alright. I carry them with me today now as I lay me down to sleep. As I pray that you will hold me dear. Though I'm far away, I'll whisper your name into the sky, and I will wake up happy. I wonder why I feel so high, though I am not above the sorrow. Heavy hearted till you call my name, and it sounds like church bells or the whistle of a train on a summer evening. I run to meet you barefoot, barely breathing. Lay me down to sleep, as I pray that you will hold me dear. Though I'm far away, I'll whisper like I go. Like I go.
Encore, encore.
You know, I did mess up the chords. I'm really pissed.
You're fine.
Wait. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah,
perfect.
could you tell?
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So what Nick and I do here is, as we start wrapping up, we always like to leave our guests and give them the last word. So we know you're in the process of writing a book. We know you have a musical. So we would love you to share some of that as we start letting you go here. But Nick and I, we really appreciated your time. This was something very, very different for us. And the live music was just the cherry on top of a great interview session. So thank you again, Sophie, for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. So like I said, if there's anything else you would like to share, promote on top of what I just said, by all means, go right ahead. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you so much for having me, both of you. And I hope to see you on the road. I just want to share, people should go to my Instagram at The Real Sophie B, and they should check my website, sophiebhawkins.com, because it's true. There's a musical called Birds of New York. There's a book, Come Inside My Jungle Book. There's the 30th anniversary of Tongues and Tales, and hopefully a release for that. And there's all this new music I'm trying to get out there. So yeah, please stay in tune with me, because I am staying in current on social media.
There you have it. Well, Sophie, we really appreciate your time here. And that's going to do it here for this episode of You Know I'm Right. For our special guest, Sophie B. Hawkins, and my co-host, Joe Calabrese, I'm Nick Durst, and this has been You Know I'm Right.